The middle of last week, after much delay by the Met, fines were finally issued for Partygate. And surprise, surprise, Boris Johnson wasn't among them, despite attending 6 parties in his own bloody home. If you've been living under a rock for the past 2 years, while the British public were told to stay at home to slow the infection rate of COVID, losing loved ones without being there in their final hours, losing their livelihoods and putting their lives on hold, Boris and those in and around the government were partying harder than 90s Robert Downey Jr. So now that we're up to date, after much pressure from the public, the corrupt London Met were forced to get off their backsides and look into it, and have issued fines to individuals who attended these parties, or work events as the Tories like to call them. They also stated that none of the recipients will be named unless they were Boris himself. So it is safe to conclude that Boris has wriggled out of yet another sticky situation. It's shocking that this sad excuse for a man keeps getting away with continuously breaking the rule of law and Parliament conventions. If it isn't illegally proroguing Parliament to push a hard Brexit on the country, attempting to change the rules to clear Owen Paterson of his crimes, or, in this case, it's lying repeatedly about the Downing Street parties. He went from there were no parties to he had no knowledge of the parties ever happening, to him being found to have attended numerous parties, but apparently he lacks the observational skills to identify a party when he sees one. Now if that's true, do we really want him running a bath, let alone a country? I think at this point, anything short of a video of Boris Johnson wearing a party hat with a bottle of Bucky in either hand, singing Celebrate, will see him continue to cling on to power. So Boris having got away with another one, you'd think that he'd try and lay low for a few days and not stir up any more trouble. But nah, he had a party at the Park Plaza Hotel on the same day that the fines were issued. Now I get that this is total coincidence, but they could have rescheduled the party for a later date out of respect for the public. But they didn't, and it turned out to be a star-studded affair, not quite like the Oscars a few days before, but with 200 MPs in attendance, featuring no other than the lanky vampire Jacob Rees-Mogg, the addled-up coke fiend Michael Gove, champion bogey eater and fake toff Ian Duncan Smith, and the Poundland Bojo himself, Michael Fabricant. They were all in attendance, walking the red carpet, ignoring protesters as they walked by, as the protesters shouted, throwing another party, are you? However, conspicuous by his absence on the red carpet, where was Boris? As usual, he took the opportunity to sneak in the back door, something that I'm sure Carrie knows all about. Am I right? Anyway, not content with disrespecting the public by attending the event, Boris decided to take a little dig at Keir Starmer's car crash interview with an attempted joke, saying, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Or as Keir Starmer would put it, people who are assigned female at birth. This only hours before Tory MP Jamie Wallace came out as trans. Now if I were them, I would seriously be reconsidering my political allegiances. But I digress. If this was any other government's Prime Minister who had broken the law, that they made no less, they'd be gone for sure. It seems that Boris's superpower is immunity to scandal. No matter whatever he does, this is a dangerous precedent to set, because no matter what comes next, whoever follows on from Boris, they know that they will be able to get away with doing exactly the same. And I'd really love to get into the head of the Tory voting public right now, what they think about the man that they've put in charge of this country. Me personally, I would be ashamed of myself, and I would seriously think about my voting intention come the next general election. So I'll leave you with this one question. If you're still backing Boris after all this, ask yourself this. Would you defend Nicola Sturgeon or Keir Starmer if they did the same? And if not, what makes Boris the exception? Okay, thank you once again for listening to my rant. If you've got anything you want to add in the comments, any questions, any points you want to make, feel free. And also, feel free to subscribe so that you can be kept up to date with any new videos coming from the channel. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you later.